Ella,
Aye.
do you do you do you like to play games? Well, I got the game for you.
Oy. Okay.
Are you ready to do the podcast?
I'm ready to do the podcast. Are you ready to do the podcast? That's where you say, I'm ready to do the podcast.
I'm ready to do the podcast.
You're late. You ruined it. It was gonna be solid, and then you hesitated, man. We can't have no hesitations.
Hey,
our audience won't have any hesitations about bashing our skulls in with their comments.
What comments?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Hotbar Podcast. And today we got something a little special or change, whatever you want to call it. We're actually the first episode was kind of like a test run, and so we're just feeling things out a little bit. We're changing up the format a little bit, and we're just gonna go by our real names. So I'm Adam Wolf, your host, and with me, as always, is the Russian from a Prussian mother, Dmitry Senchikov?
It's Igor Grigorskevich.
I will break you. And so, yeah, we're going to go by our real names. Figured it's easier because we know each other in real life. So it's a bit weird. It's strange for me, to say the least. And of course, as always, he's got the cooler name. Mine sucks. So we're just going to go with real names. We can call him Meech or Big Meech, as he's always known. And I'm just Adam. So, plain, boring Adam. But that's okay. I like my name.
Hey, Adam.
Yeah.
You're a cool dude.
Right? Thanks, man. Thanks. And today's podcast is also going to be a little bit shorter than the first episode. We have agreed that an hour long is more than enough. So we're going to get underway here. We're going to fire off with something, I don't know if it's controversial, but more or less just something that I feel like we need to talk about. And that's the classic systems. And classics is in quotes because if you guys have been paying attention at all on social media or even in the market at all, you will have known that Nintendo has released two classic systems, the NES Classic and the Super NES Classic, and PlayStation has, of course, released the PlayStation Classic. What are these systems? Well, these systems are basically emulators in a small box. That's all they are. They get a little bit of computer hardware put in, and then they just emulate games that Sony or Nintendo have chosen for their respective systems. However, the reason that we're talking about this is just simply because that they're coming out, and it makes no sense to me. And that's going to work us into the first question for Michiruno, if that's a name I can call you. Probably not. Yeah, not your favorite, I'm sure. Are they just a ripoff, or is there some value? Because, Meech and I are PC gamers at heart. We've been playing PC games for many years, and emulating the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, even the PlayStation 1, hell, the PlayStation 2, and the PlayStation 3 are all emulatable. PS3 a little bit wonky at the moment, but they are all online where you can get them for free, and you can get the ROMs for free and everything for free. But yet we've got these systems that have come out for whatever reason, and people are eating this up. And I think it's really just a nostalgia thing that Nintendo and Sony are just, feeding off of. So, Meech, what do you think? Do you think they're ripoff, or is there any kind of value here at all?
Well, first off, don't ever call me that again. Okay. No, I think it's like this weird wave that we're seeing nowadays where it really is almost like a nostalgia, like, hey, let's bring back all these game systems that kids growing up now have never even heard before. I mean,
Right.
For Christ's sake, there's kids that I heard a story of this kid's trying to save something on the computer, and he's like, what's that thing in the top left? And he's like, that's a floppy disk.
Yeah.
He's like, what's that? So moral of the story is a lot of these kids back in the day, they don't know what the NES is or even the first PlayStation.
Right.
All they grew up with, they have all the latest and greatest now. So,
Right.
But on the, I think what the companies are trying to do, like PlayStation, Nintendo, I think they're trying to re-spark that kind of kindle in us, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
the more veteran kind of gamers, I want to say, where it's almost like, hey, all your classic shit that you used to play as a little kid, like we're we're redoing it when we're making it this big bundle of like you get 50 games in the console that comes in together. Is it kind of a rip-off? I mean, I don't know. I actually don't even know the prices of these right now. I don't know if you know that off the top of your head.
Well, lucky for you, I have the information right in front of me.
Oh, perfect.
Also, real
How
quick,
convenient.
just Adam's on the ball. Just real quick, just to let you know, I completely skipped over the most important question of the podcast. I can't believe
Oh God,
I
yeah, how did you do
messed
that?
this up. Oh my God, Joe's gonna have my ass. What is your drink of choice tonight, Big Meech?
What? No, I'm just kidding. It's real beer this time.
Okay, all right,
I am
yeah.
drinking Spaten Optimator.
Barton. Really?
Spaten Optimator. Yeah,
Man,
that good.
I feel like Halo sponsored that or something.
I don't know, but I had this at the World Cup.
Okay.
She had one of this. That was the one that was the last 4 years ago. I got it at the German bar that's local, Wolf's Beer Garden. Hey, Wolf's Beer Garden. Hey,
Hey,
that's your bar.
sponsored.
Yeah, I got it there, and I was blown away by it, and yeah, I'm drinking it ever since now. I love it.
Nice. Well, to no surprise to anybody, I'm also actually went with the beer tonight, and it's Stella Artois. Can't get away from it. It's all I got right now.
The classic.
The classic Stella Artois. And as far as I'm concerned, champagne of beers. All right, Miller Lite or whatever, Miller High Life. Please sit down, son. Stella Artois got your number. So yeah, we went with beer this evening. I've already had one. I'm working on the second one, and I've got a third one sitting in the back end.
We
here.
got drunk again.
But anyway, so to continue on, we left off obviously the pricing of these systems. Now, the PlayStation Classic is by far the most ludicrous, but we've got the NES Classic Edition coming in at $60.
Oh, okay, that's not bad at all.
It's not bad, I guess, for the amount of games that you get. You get 30 total games on this emulator, which
See, I feel like that's not a bad price at all, though. You know what I mean? Like, for companies that are trying to like bring those like older games back to like life, or try to like, I don't know, it's just their ploy, right? They're just trying to make a little bit more extra money, right? For like, it almost seems like their newer games that like for the season may have like done total shit.
Mm-hmm.
Now they were like, wait a minute, like what can we do here to like make a little bit extra cash? Oh, all the classics that people still play to this day, like on the original systems.
Yeah.
Let's just redo that one more time.
Well, and
like it is like a
I get it.
Yeah.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I get it. It's just that when you start thinking about the way it is right now, we're putting a lot of value in digital goods, and essentially that's what these are. They're not physical copies. There's a reason that the physical versions of these games are so much money. They're worth so much money, and even if you want to get a copy of like the original Super Mario Brothers, it's extremely expensive sometimes because the value is in the physical hardware. And to put a price on the system with all these games, I think for the majority of the part of the thing, you're paying for the hardware, the system itself. You're not really paying for the games because, when you think about it, digitally these are worth nothing. We got Super Mario. I'm going to read off a couple of games here. We do have Donkey Kong. We've got Balloon Fight, Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, and 3, Castlevania. So Legend of Zelda, the original Legend of Zelda. But are all these games? Yeah, it's 30 games, which is a nice chunk. But are these worth $60? In the original system, and then we move on to the Super NES. That comes in at $79.99, so that's $10 more, or $20 more, excuse me.
Or even older.
Yeah. Well, with the Super NES, you get you pay $80 and you only get 21 games. So we've lost 9 games and we're paying $20 more. Okay. And the games, you get Donkey Kong Country, very big classic, Star Fox 1 and 2. 2, which I was reminded that never actually saw the light of day in North America. So that's an interesting one. Super Mario World 1 and 2, Mario RPG, Mario Kart. So definitely some good games, but again, you're paying $20 more, but you get 9 less games. And then, and it's just like these are little tidbit boxes that I'm pretty sure you're just paying for the hardware. There are some system specs here and everything, but I'm not going to go through all that. It's just that, they're very low key systems. Something you would probably see. A smartphone could probably beat the crap out of these systems. I'm not going to lie. Like these things are just like dinky little pieces of shit. And then you've got the PlayStation Classic. I know we moved from Nintendo to PlayStation, but it's pretty much in the same realm. These all came out in the 90s, and except for NES, that came out in 80, 88, 89. I don't know. Let me see. It said here somewhere, but yeah, like in the late 1980s, was super popular up until 95 when the Super NES was released. But yeah, the PlayStation Classic comes in at $100. $100,
yeah,
$100, and you only get what was it?
20 preloaded.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 games. 12 games.
It is 12s?
Well, it says common to all regions, and then you got like some that are PAL region, and obviously the ones that are in Japan and Hong Kong and Taiwan, we're not going to see.
Right.
But we do. Okay, so 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, so you get like 20, 21. And the worst part about the PlayStation Classic is that a lot of those PAL games, they only run at 50 hertz as opposed to 60 hertz, which is normal to the North Americans. So even if you're in North America, it has no idea of what region you hail from. You're going to get the PAL versions of games that were also released here, but in 60 hertz, fashion. So if you're from Europe, you'll be used to it. From North America, it only runs at 50 hertz. It's so strange, and there was no thought put into that at all, like releasing 2 separate systems, one for North America, one for Europe. They just chunked it all together, and poof, everybody gets to play. I think 6 of the games run at 50 hertz, and it doesn't sit well with me that you're paying $100. Oh, okay, so you paying $100, you get 20 games. And it by what I've seen on YouTube videos and stuff, runs like absolute dog shit. It runs awful. All of these things can be emulated with a PC. And so that's where I feel like there's a ripoff here. And they're, as you said, playing on people's nostalgia for a quick buck. And I personally don't see a value, but I guess that's just because I have a PC. But you can run these emulators on next to nothing. You can run it on a laptop. So I don't know, like the pricing just seems quite off to me, especially for games that, even the PlayStation Classic has only a couple of really good games, and then it's just like, what are these games? Intelligent Cube, Jumping Flash, Mr. Driller. I've never heard of any of these. What is that?
Yeah. Mr. Driller. I get it for Rayman, hands down.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. I would just play Rayman all the time. No, I get where you come from, and I think the real reason, though, why... Now, I don't even know how the sales on these are doing right now. I don't know if you know that either.
I saw a bunch of them at Walmart, a bunch of PlayStation Classics. The Nintendo ones are sold out because they're coming back later, I guess. I don't know, but...
Right.
They're completely sold out.
I imagine that the sales for these were pretty good, right? Just because, again, you spark that kind of nostalgic feeling in a lot of people that are like, oh, cool, I get to play all my... If you were really, really, really like into all those old school classic games that are like, that like hold a special place in your heart, and you want to beat the fuck out of someone in Tekken 3, it's for those people. I think they got it just for the sole reason. Maybe they don't have a computer, right? Because that's the flip side of this. We're looking at it at a perspective where, like, yes, we come from that PC realm, and I'm not going to preach that PC Master Race or any of that shit. As usual. But I am going to say it is very nice because we do have that capability, right? Emulators now that are coming out. We have Dolphin for the Nintendo side. Can't remember what the PlayStation one was, but
PCSX.
Okay, that one, yep. And then I know they have an Xbox one as well. I don't know the name of it though. I forget.
Yeah, that one's it's escaping me as well.
It's like
but
it's a little iffy though. I heard that one, but I mean,
Yeah.
regardless, like, right? Like all the major like consoles, there are emulators out there, and the funny thing is, they're all running all these classic games. The hard part is you need to find the ROMs, and sometimes that's where the challenge lies. Is like you need to find like a good ROM that's actually a full game, and not just some half-ass fucking Chinese guy like uploading some easy shit on the internet, and now you're getting like a random virus.
And just to let people know, we are not actually going to tell you how to set up ROMs and emulators and stuff. We don't want our favorite websites being taken down, okay? So, we're not going to tell you how to do it, but all we can say is that we know how to do it. It's easy, and it's
Adam,
free.
what are you talking about?
Stuff.
But yeah, I think that they were trying to capture kind of like a different, what's the word I'm looking for? Different. Holy shit. Wow.
What are you looking for?
It's right there. It's on the tip of my tongue.
You know what else is on the tip of your tongue? Your beer.
It is now.
I
still can't think of the word.
Okay.
I still can't think of the word. No. A different group of people.
Okay.
Whatever. Right?
Demographic.
Like it's those. There you go. Thank you.
Bam.
Jesus.
Got it.
Good job. So they're trying to get that different demographic for people that may not have access to a computer that can run emulators, right? So for them, in their eyes, maybe $100 isn't that bad at all, right? You're getting this the thing to play the games on, and you're getting 20 games for it. Compared to nowadays, like we mentioned in our last podcast, right? Fucking games nowadays are coming out at $60 a pop, and they're not even full finished games yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you compare this to that, this blows that out of the water, hands down.
Yeah, and
because we know.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say because we know back then people didn't skimp out. They took their time. They created full games, even though they were. I mean, shit. Look at Rayman. It's nothing crazy, right? The first Rayman, like, it looked like shit, but hell, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And and that is a good point. It's like the only value I can see here is people who don't have PCs or don't have powerful enough PCs, which again, you can run emulators these days on pretty much nothing. You can run it on the worst kind of potato.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, actually, there are emulators on the smartphones now.
Oh, yeah.
I remember this kid that I went to college with, he just pulled out his phone during one of our seminars, and he's like, yo, check it. And he's like playing, like, I forgot what the game was, but he like pulled up like all these classics. I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, and this actually, I'm probably just going to shift over to this anyway, but I mean, we basically worked ourselves into the second question, which was, are they even necessary? Because at this point, PCs are cheaper, they're more powerful, and smartphones exist. So emulation is, you can basically have anything you want to emulate these things. And here we are,
literally at the tip of your fingers.
Yeah, and here we are with two gigantic companies basically saying, pay us a little bit more, please, because we know you like these games, but we kind of want more money. And I'm kind of annoyed by it. I think that's really just my problem with it, is that they don't need to do it. They're just doing it just because, and that really pisses me off.
They're doing it because they know they can make a little bit of extra cash.
Right. But the problem is that YouTube exists, and people look at the reviews on these things and basically sometimes take the people's word as gospel. And let me tell you, nobody was nice to the PlayStation Classic. Nobody. It literally runs as bad as you might think it could run. And you could emulate every single game on this list better with a PC. And so it's kind of sad to think that they went to all this trouble making you pay $100 for 20 games that I bet you the most hardcore of people who actually care about this already own, and it doesn't even run well. I mean, come on, man. Who releases European programmed games in North America? It doesn't make any sense. So the necessity of these systems makes no sense to me personally. But again, I see your point, which is some people may not have a PC. Maybe they're just not into PC. They're just console gamers, and so this would be the only way they could emulate it. And then to that, I would say, find a friend who's a PC gamer, have them build one for you, and poof, you have your emulator. It just
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I mean, it's funny that I didn't realize that the reviews were like total shit on
Oh
the
yeah,
PlayStation
most of them are
1.
pretty bad.
I also don't, yeah, I don't know why, like, why is it run so bad? You know, that's a
know.
weird thing. Like these games are, there's nothing to it. I mean, for fuck's sakes, I'm looking at the NES one. It's fucking Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Like, if that runs bad, like, where did you guys go wrong there?
Yeah.
You know?
No, I think majority of the terrible reviews were the PlayStation Classic. NES and Super NES pretty much got maybe swimming reviews, except for the fact that they got criticized for lack of availability. You know, because you can't get them anywhere now, and that's Nintendo's MO, really. That's them in a nutshell. They basically make something so scarce that it goes out of stock in the first week, and then it's months before we ever see it again. And so people are just like,
resupply.
Yeah.
Yep.
So people are just pissed. But you know what? Sad enough, it's genius, because they know people are going to be pissed. They're going to be talking about it for months, and then when it comes back out, people are like, "Well, where the fuck was this? I can't. You know what? Just give me one. Give me one. All right, give me that." And it's just like, I hate them. I hate them. I hate them for it.
They make too much money, man.
Yeah,
they can get away with it.
They're just piling on the nostalgia, and they're playing on people's feelings and just being like, well, you know, we can give this to you all at once, or we can just kind of like trickle it out there, you know? And that's what they do. Nintendo created the trickle effect. That's what they are. Nintendo Trickle. They should call themselves that. That should be their next system, the Nintendo Trickle, and just have only one available every week. But yeah, overall, you know, I personally, again, don't see the value in these things. There's only one situation where they would be valuable, and that is somebody who doesn't have a PC or doesn't care to learn how to set up an emulator or something like that. And, you know, that's really all this is. But you know what else plays a classic PlayStation games? A PlayStation 2. That plays classic PlayStation games, and you can find those on eBay if you want to really make it easy. So if you own a PS2, it plays your PlayStation 1 games. I hope you know that. Okay? Backwards compatibility didn't stop at the PlayStation 2.
Pro tip, actually, what I was pissed about is my buddy actually had he bought the PS3, and he actually had the one where when they first released the PS3, it was backwards compatible with PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 1 games. I'm pretty sure. I think it could run all three at one point. It was like the first gen PS3 that came out, and my buddy had that. Then he ended up selling it, and later down the road, he knew it was a grave mistake.
Yeah,
had to get another one, and it fucked him because he could only play PS3 games.
It's very rare to actually find a original PS3. Now, I actually also went on the hunt for one myself, and you know, not terribly expensive if you really want to find one, if somebody's willing to be reasonable about it. But it seriously was one of the best systems I owned, and mine just ended up breaking, unfortunately. I used it so much, and I was like, you know, the fans are constantly kicking it up a lot. Like, they really kicked it up a notch, you know, because it was getting older, and I'm pretty sure the thermal paste was just gone at that point on the heatsink. And so, you know, stupid me, I decided to open it and see if I could replace the thermal paste, and I ended up ruining the latch, which, by the way, was like paper thin on the ribbon cable that held the Blu-ray player ribbon cable in place. The little latch that snaps down, it was so thin in terms of you know, it was plastic, but it was so thin that you lifted it up once and it snapped, and I'm like, son of a bitch, dude. And I could never get it to work ever again. If for some reason, even if it was a digital game, it refused to run, because I guess maybe the circuit wasn't completed or something with the Blu-ray player. And I'm like, why does the Blu-ray player need to be connected in order for a digital game to play? It makes no fucking sense. So that was unfortunately the end of that.
You screwed yourself on that one.
Yeah, no, I should have never opened it. I should just let it burn itself or something. I don't know. But you know, that was unfortunately the last time that they went with backwards compatibility. But maybe maybe that was the reason why they stopped it, because they knew they could do this. They could come out with something like the PlayStation Classic and be like, oh, well, here's your favorite games that you can no longer play on our current gen systems. And I really don't think it was that much to really emulate it in their own systems. I really don't. Clearly, it wasn't. But then again, maybe there was a reason they didn't do it, because they suck at it. It's so shitty that they were just like, they should have just built it into the hardware for the PS4.
Right. Or, like make it, actually, we just got to switch over Christmas, so that's kind of cool. But I realized, I kind of browsed through their Nintendo store, e-store, whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
And it's cool. They're actually bringing a lot more newer titles into the Nintendo series, which is cool. It's a lot of actually similar games that I've even seen on Steam, right? Like so that was like a cool little thing that Nintendo's doing, is they're introducing more non-Nintendo games to their systems. But ironically, there's no goddamn old school games on there. Like why? What the fuck? Like, that's your brand. Like, just incorporate it into the Switch, right? Like, throw like all the original, like Zelda, right? Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, whatever. Like, the Switch is gonna blow that. Like, it can run that no problem. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and that's a mobile chip in that system too, which is even crazier. So, full circle, it's a mobile chip that was taken out of a mobile market, and somehow they just don't see the potential in letting people just, people be willing to pay $5 for each of those games, or $10 even. I mean, some of the PlayStation Classics on the PS Store are going for like $10, $15 sometimes.
Exactly, yeah. You don't need to like upcharge it crazy. No. Exact, to your point, right? Like, they're digital copies. There's really not that much value in it. If you really like love the game that you used to play, sure, put it at a reasonable price for people to buy. You're gonna make money. There's a lot of people out there that still play these classics like religiously.
Oh yeah.
For those diehard people that like still own the original NES and like need to play fucking Metroid and whatever, like, yeah, that guy's gonna go out and he probably shops 4 hours out of his day trying to find like that physical copy, because there's a lot of value in physical objects,
Oh, there is.
So yeah, I don't know, these new whole like the whole revamp of this, like, hey, let's bring the old gen systems to light in 2019 now, or soon to be 2019, is kind of weird to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand what they're trying to do with it. Like I said, they're trying to reach out to more like those old school guys that used to play this all the time. But
yeah. No,
again,
and I know that some people might think that this is a bit of a dead topic. I mean, I don't personally see it that way, because the PlayStation Classic just came out earlier this month, December 3rd. So, it's still somewhat of a relevant topic, and I think it's just something we needed to hit on, because it just, part of it doesn't make sense, especially if you're going to make a shitty console that barely runs your own games. Like, how do you do that? Yeah. How do you charge people $100 for an emulator in a small box that doesn't even run the games very well? I mean, you made the fucking games. Like, how do you not know how to emulate that properly? Some guy on the internet made a better emulator than what the original company could produce. It blows my mind. And that has nothing to do with hardware. The hardware in the PS Classic, it's a chip with 4 central processing. Okay, so 4 core, 1.3 gigahertz. Okay. Power VR. Is this the internally the console? Okay, yeah, it
sounds right.
Yeah, this is the PlayStation Classic. So it's a 4-core system with 1.3 gigahertz processing power. It's got 16 gigs of flash storage, only 1 gig of DDR3 memory. First of all, DDR3 really, and 1 gig. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't really take so much to run these things, but I mean, that doesn't
really.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like enough to me. And
I mean, Jesus Christ, you guys could have put 4 gigs. What the hell is it? This is gonna kill you? Jesus.
Yeah, and it says it uses a rearmed branch of the free and open source emulator PCSX to play its games. So it's even using the emulator.
Funny. I didn't know
that somebody produced, but worse. A rearmed branch. So it's not even the official PCSX emulator. They could have easily just gotten away with it because that's free. It's open source. And they just, it bothers me. So it has 4 cores in it, and it can't even run half the games well enough. I mean, come on, dude. So dumb. Just so stupid.
That is bizarre.
Not only that, but it comes with a controller with no analog sticks. Like,
holy shit, you're right.
It's a classic controller. Like, what the fuck, dude? You guys couldn't give us controllers with analog sticks? It's the
dude. I've been on their website for like the past 20 minutes scrolling up and down the page, and I just realized that
the age of D-pad is over. Analog sticks, man, it's so dumb.
Nah, I get it. No, Adam, it makes sense. See, what they're doing is they want all those like real tryhards. You know, they're like, yo, we're gonna bring this shit back with the D-pad. Like, good luck, and they just slide it to the guy.
Yeah, no, it's
and he looked at it and he's like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, even like, you know, modern day workers that work at PlayStation look at that controller like, what in God's name is this?
Where did we go wrong?
Where are the analog sticks? So I think overall, you know,
is doo-doo.
We can agree that I guess there's value here somewhere to somebody who doesn't own a PC, who doesn't care to learn how to install an emulator and find the ROMs and stuff like that. This is easier, and you know, to Nintendo's credit, at least they know how to build their own fucking systems. But not to PlayStation's credit, they need to get their shit together. I love PlayStation. It's my main system. Okay, I have a PS2, PS3, and PS4. And a PSP, PSP Go, and PS Vita. I just love their systems. But this piece of shit, this needs to disappear. For $100, that's, first of all, shouldn't you try to compete by undercutting? They're selling the NES Classic for $60. You might as well sell the PlayStation Classic for $60 or less. Okay,
right. At least try to match it. Yeah, you're right.
It's highway robbery, and for less games, the NES Classic is way more worth the value. It comes with 30. PlayStation Classic comes with 20. Like, you pay 10 less. You pay 40 more dollars, but you get 10 less games, and they run like shit. Come on, Sony. Damn, so dumb.
But wait, Adam,
there's more.
You get Wild Arms as a game.
Don't discredit Wild Arms. Okay, Wild Arms is actually a pretty good game, but it doesn't belong on this system. So if you're in the market to play some awesome old games, emulate it on your PC. You got one. I know you are.
You know the funniest thing is too. I'm like looking at these titles for the PS Classic. There is literally no fucking rhyme or reason. There's no consistency with the titles that they put on here.
Exactly.
I think they cut out like all these, like, you know, all the PS1 games like ever that they made, put them into a fucking bag, and then walked around the office and were like, we need 20 of you guys to reach in here and pick out a thing.
Yep.
And this one guy was like, I got fucking Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. I didn't know we made this.
Yeah.
It is like, too bad, we're putting it on the PlayStation Classic.
Yeah, you picked it, son. No, and that's a damn good point, because you look at the NES and Super NES Classics, you got like tons of Super Mario games.
You got the classics.
You got freaking Zelda. And so it's like, yeah, where's the consistency, PlayStation? When did Resident Evil go with Wild Arms, or Tekken 3 go with Metal Gear Solid?
Or Destruction Derby.
I mean, like, what the hell is this?
This makes no sense, man.
It's so dumb. So dumb. The whole thing. The whole thing. So I think overall, the conclusion is NES and Super NES, yeah, we see the value. PlayStation Classic, go fuck yourself. That's all I'm going to say. I love you, PlayStation, but go fuck yourself.
You guys could have done better.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna move right along here into the next topic, which actually is a little bit more relevant than some people might think it is. There was a recent situation with DICE, the developers of Battlefield, and it got me thinking about the liberties that companies have been taking with their games. Now, to be fair, they are their games, so they can do whatever they want with them. But they are not, I mean, they may play their own games, maybe. I don't know. I helped develop a game, and I didn't want to see it for another 6 years. But the bottom line is they are not the majority of people that play their game. We are. And to do things to the game and not tell their audience is a big problem. And so if you don't know what I'm talking about, it was the change in the time to kill in Battlefield 5. For whatever reason, DICE thought it was a great idea to do that, to change it. Basically, it was fine. People loved it. If they just went on the forums and looked around, they'd see that people absolutely loved the time to kill. It was fast, it was fun, and as frustrating as it is to, spawn and die sometimes, it happens. And there's a problem with the netcode and the time to death, and they need to fix all that. But for some reason they thought, oh, well, people are dying too quickly in like one frame, which by the way is a netcode issue. They thought that changing the time to kill would actually fix it. It didn't fix anything. It made it more frustrating by decreasing the time to kill, or how much damage each bullet does to your enemy. You're using more ammo in a system that is built around attrition, where basically you start with next to no ammo, and you're adding on to the frustration. Do people die less? Sure, you have a chance to defend yourself, turn around if he's shooting you back, and maybe try and fight him back. But at the same time, the person trying to kill you is like, why aren't you dying? They're just sitting there holding the trigger trying to kill you. And so this change happened around the 14th or 15th, I believe, of November. Or maybe it was it was December, sorry. It was December. And they reverted it back on the 18th. So this is well after they've changed it back. Now, according to them, it was just to test something. It was just to test it out, see if people liked it, even though people liked the TTK before. And they didn't tell anybody. They changed it, didn't tell anybody. People found out, got pissed, and then they changed it back about 4 days later. So invoking the wrath of your community is not something to do. But at the same time, you have to try and think of it from their perspective. I think they should have done more research personally, but they have to try, and they admitted to this, they have to try and bring in new players. And that's their main goal. It's hard for them to bring in new players and retain those new players. And so they thought, well, if they made it, longer to kill somebody, then people would stick around. But that, unfortunately, would have the opposite effect. So the first question really in this whole situation, Nexum, Meech, sorry, see, I'm already used to it, is should DICE have been more transparent?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I hate when bigger game companies do this type of shit because, and I can't really speak on DICE, but I know one thing because I play Fortnite religiously. Mm-hmm. They had a similar situation that just happened.
Really?
Where, it kind of. I mean, it was like something that they just added to the game, right? And they realized it was a royal fuck up. And when they added it in, actually, it was right when like a big tournament where like all the pros were actually playing in. And this and what I'm talking about is the Infinity Blade.
Yeah.
Okay, so what they did on that thing was, all these pro guys, I mean, they're getting ready for a big competition. Like we're talking like millions of dollars worth of, prize money, whatever. They're in the qualifying matches. They're playing. This Infinity thing isn't in the game yet. So they're playing. We got guys like Ninja on there who are like really like busting their balls, like playing their heart out, doing really well, whatever. All of a sudden, this fucking Infinity Blade drops in. Now, I only ever got to use this thing twice, and holy shit, was it so broken.
Yeah.
You pick it up. Unfortunately, you lose everything that you have equipped on you, so you only have that. Your health goes up to like 200, and you have 100 shield or 200 shield. I can't remember. It might have been 200.
It's 200. It doubles everything.
Yeah, so it was so insane because every swing that you did with like your main click or mouse one did like 75 damage, right? Then I'm pretty sure your left click was literally you just can hop around the map without zero repercussion. Like you don't take fall damage, you don't take anything. You can literally go on the highest point in the map, left click all the way to fucking East Bumfuck and probably kill somebody. I don't know. But that was like a big no-no that that Epic Games did, and a lot of these pro guys were just literally, when that tournament kicked off, were laughing because it was such a joke.
Yeah.
There was one guy that got it, and it was down to like I just remember watching one of the replays, and there's like 30 people left in the map, and this guy goes to town with this sword. Literally, like even the commentators are just laughing hysterically because they're like, how is this fair? Like you're literally you can't get touched. Not to mention, I think every time you kill someone, you gain health back.
Yeah. I was just gonna actually say, I don't know if you mentioned it, but over time, if you stay out of combat, you get your health and shields back.
Yeah, and with an elimination, I think you get a little bit of a bonus as well. So it was just overall completely horrid. It didn't even last like a few days in the game, and Epic just took it away right away. And now, similar to this thing in Battlefield 5, I guess it's even kind of worse in Battlefield 5 because now this is something that literally it affects everybody, right? It's like, even if you were shit, sure, maybe you could, or I mean, even if you were really good, right?
Yeah.
You probably could have taken out the guy with the sword, yada yada. But here it's like, it's you completely change gameplay mechanics, right? Which is a huge no-no, especially for AAA game companies, and not telling the guys that play the games, us,
Yeah.
So obviously how people are going to react, they're all going to be pissed off because I know, like, even if I were playing, I would notice something like different right away.
Yeah.
I noticed those small little stupid things. So no, I feel like game companies just need to be way more like open about this type of shit. I don't know why they feel like it's such a like, oh, we got to keep it on the on the down low, make sure no one wants it. Like, no. Like, incorporate it or say like, hey, we're going to be doing this and this. It's like as if it's I'm just trying to like think of like a really dumb thing that could happen. It's like if I don't know. It's like, yeah, whatever. Now all of a sudden Battlefield's like, oh, actually we're getting rid of all the guns and it's only going to be melee combat. And they just did it and didn't say anything. And then and then the following day everyone was like, or they announced like, oh yeah, we did that. There's no more guns in Battlefield.
Yeah,
you fucking it's big.
We were just testing out your patience with us. That's a good idea.
Right, exactly right. So I think it's a stupid idea. I don't know why they did it the way they did.
I don't know.
They should have been way more transparent. Shit, maybe even like I put it in like a little. Oh, actually, this will be a good thing. Maybe put it on separate servers, right? Test it out on like a few beta servers that people can like join in there, test it out, see how it goes, get the feedback from everybody from those few whatever. Leave it up for like 2 weeks. If it's total shit, don't put it in.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because that was of course the suggestion by many a people, but it's also. I don't know how many Battlefield games you've played, but
I mean, I have Battlefield 1. That was the latest one, so I'm not like too far off.
Well, Battlefield 4 had a test server. They actually put out a test server to test stuff like this. And for whatever reason, every single release, even Battlefield 1, I don't even know if Battlefield 1 has a test server. I didn't keep up with that. But Battlefield 4 did. I think maybe Hardline did. Bottom line is, every release, they have the same stupid bugs as the previous release, and they refuse to put out a test server along with the release of the game. It makes no fucking sense, because now what they're doing is they're limiting their ability to, as you said, communicate with their audience, communicate with their community, and make sure that these changes that they want to put into the game actually work. And that was the whole point of the test server, and they just didn't do it this time. There's no test server, and that was like it's mind-boggling every time they put out a game. Same bugs, no test server. What?
Right?
Did you not learn from the last time that you didn't have a test server? It helps a lot, and like you said, it gives them a different playlist, a different set of rooms that they could test this stuff out on. And that was actually going to be their fix to this whole TTK thing. They were going to add more playlists because it's like, oh, we fucked up, sorry. You know what, we're going to call this Conquest Core, and if you want the old TTK, we'll have a separate playlist for that, and if you want the new TTK, it's the standard playlist. Well, then that's just fucking confusing. Because now you got new players coming in, they're looking at Conquest and Conquest Core and being like, I don't know which one to play. What do I do? And so it was such a horrible idea, and they ultimately just, of course, decided, you know what, forget the whole thing. We're just reverting it back. Their excuse, of course, was that they were just testing something, and there's a whole. They did a couple.
Weird.
Yeah, they were testing it on the base game, which is like insane to me.
That is insane.
But it was the sad part is that the community found out all of this before they even posted anything. They actually, because the community found out, they went up in an uproar, and then DICE put out a Reddit post stating, "Hey, we made these changes to the time to kill. You know, here's what's going on, and we're sorry about that. We're going to revert it." And that was the first post letting people know when it was going to be reverted back, telling them that they were testing stuff. And then a second post went up apologizing, quote unquote. And I say quote unquote because it's just like, you know, there's no apologizing for stupid. I'm sorry.
Right.
Like, there's no apologizing.
And the funny thing is, like, we see this in a lot of like AAA like game companies, right?
Yeah.
Like where they should really look at like the smaller game companies. Like, I don't know, like we talked about this in the last podcast, but like fucking Rust, for instance, right? Like,
yeah.
Rust has like 10 to like 50, I don't know, they have a shit ton of test servers, you know, specifically for things that they I don't know, want to test before it goes live. Yeah. It's a weird concept, right? Don't just implement something that into all your live servers, right, where people are playing all the time. I don't know, it's just a really stupid this is something that really gets to me too, because there's a lot of like, I don't know, I used to play a lot of like serious FPSs, like CSGO, CSS, whatever, and there were like changes within those that like were pretty crazy. One I remember being it must have been at CSGO, I think it was like in the early stage, where like they had slightly modified the way like the guns were shooting, and I just remember like specifically queuing up a bunch of competitive matches and just playing, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like I like there's some big change, and then I read up on it and I'm like, oh, that's why they all of a sudden they changed how gun recoil works, or like whatever, like how the spray on half the guns is working now. So it was just this thing, but like they didn't really announce it in any way, right? Like
which is
there's just got to be
not great.
Yeah, not great.
You shouldn't change things and not say anything.
Right, yeah, there needs to be better communication to your players on when big changes like this come out, you know?
Yeah, especially in something as competitive as CSGO. I mean, Battlefield, they, of course, have attempted in the past to get their foot in the mainstream esports arena, and it's just not successful at all. Like, in Battlefield 1, they were going to come out with something called Incursions. That never seemed to actually happen, and it's kind of gone dark since its announcement. You know, they've made a few remarks in about it during Battlefield 1's development, but they never really did anything with it, and people seem to think that they were going to do something with it with Battlefield 5, and yet again, it's another Battlefield game with nothing about incursions or anything like that. So I don't know what their plan is with that, but with something like CSGO, you know, Fortnite now, because it's getting into that, Overwatch, to pick a big one, you know, League of Legends. What if they changed a bunch of characters' stats in League of Legends and didn't say a freaking word? I mean,
right, like they changed like all the hero skills or something. They're like totally different.
That the wrath of the community. That community is bad enough as it is.
Oh,
okay,
yeah. They'd probably go to like the main office and burn it to the ground.
Oh yeah. No, they would. There would be hell to pay, especially with the League of Legends community. Oh God, I can only imagine the death threats that would come from those people. But anyway, it's overall, this is just not something you want to be, you want to get used to as a developer. Don't think you can change something and just make things be okay. Now, here's the other side of things though. Let's say it was something that was changed. They didn't say anything, but it was good. What if it was a good change? Does does it then lose its do people then lose their ability to be outraged by it?
Has it ever been a good change?
No, that's the thing. Like, it's never been a good change. So that's why this is a really head scratching question. But it's just like, what if it was a good change? What if they had changed something for the better? People noticed, they didn't say anything, and like, would people have any right to be outraged? Hey, why did you change this and not tell us? It's like, why would you care to even ask them if to tell you? If it's a good change, who cares?
All of a sudden, right, you're like dominating every game. It's like, oh my god, well, we actually made it so that you instantly snapped anybody's head and just did auto fires.
The aimbot.
Yeah, right. We just actually added aimbot into every server, so
I don't know.
Just for you though,
that
if
might
you're the
be a
lucky
bad
one that gets
change.
it. Yeah. No, it's weird. That is a good point though. Imagine if they did do beneficial changes, but like no one really noticed, but they were like, oh, but like you as the player, like, oh, I'm doing really good today. I don't know why,
Yeah. Like, they improved the netcode overnight, and it's just like, all of a sudden I'm able to kill people with, absolute precision. And
yeah, like my bullets are actually going where they need to.
Yeah. And would I be pissed about that? No, I'm doing well. I'm doing exactly like, I thought I should be doing. But at the same time, there's, I guess we have to consider a line. It's like, can we be angry about one and not the other? And it's kind of a weird question to ask, because it's like, who would be angry about a good thing? But you never know. I mean, there's a lot of people in this world that are angry about a lot of good things for some reason. It can be beneficial to everybody, but somebody's going to be pissed about it.
I mean, you're always going to have haters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, like, there's always, no one's ever going to be happy with, like, an implementation, right? That's like...
Yeah. Well, and we're almost running out of time, so I got one more question for you, Meech. And it kind of goes, it does go hand in hand with this. We're talking about how the company should be more transparent. DICE in particular, they should have been more transparent, and overall, all companies should be more transparent. But the real question is, how transparent should they be? How open should companies be about their games? Because I worked for Vicarious Visions, and we all know NDAs exist. If you don't know what that means, a non-disclosure agreement, meaning you cannot talk about this. Yep. A lot of companies try to protect their IPs, because they don't want somebody stealing their ideas and stuff like that. Even though when a game comes out and somebody sees that it's a really good game and they want to try and mimic that game, the game mechanics, the look, the feel, whatever. Some say plagiarism is the ultimate form of flattery. The bottom line is that they try to protect things that they are doing at the immediate time. And so really, how transparent should companies be? If they're too transparent, they might leak something that they didn't want the community to know about yet. And if they're not transparent enough, it could be detrimental to retaining those players. So really, I mean, I pass the question off to you, man. I mean, it's kind of another hard question. How transparent should they be?
No, it's a good one. I guess it really depends. Well, I guess a little bit of not really backstory, but like, I feel like a lot of people, when they think of games, right? Like, especially non-gamers, right? They look at games and they go, "Oh wow, like, oh, it's like that's a cool little video game, whatever." They like, to them it's just a video game. They don't actually think of all the things that went into making that thing.
Right.
If you look at any major game company, like, fuck, I'll use Epic Games again just because they're always on my mind. They have developers. They have web developers. They have they have like a finance group. They have, it's just like it's like any other workplace, right? They have like 15 different divisions that go into creating like your game, right? And there has to be a division in that company that is kind of that whole I don't even know what the word would be to like for that group, right? That like kind of whole like that like gives out the public news to like us, the consumers.
PR
right?
people.
PR people, there, thank you. Like there's got to be a group in that game company.
Yeah.
Which they need to really maybe they just need to hire better PR people. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
But it kind of boils down to like just obviously don't give away too much information, especially like for like a good thing that you mentioned, new games are coming out all the time, right? And we always see this happen. There's always like somehow leaked information always gets out.
Yep.
Because people are, a lot of people are diehard, like they need to know way before the game's out. They need to know every bit of detail. And then we have like fucking Chinese hacker men who hack the system and get all the info, and then they leak it online. So, I think the companies try to avoid that as much as possible, obviously, because I know if I were a game company, I would like give a small trailer, right? Be like, hey, here's this cool thing we're working on. And that was it, right? I don't like, I wouldn't want anyone to know the final product yet, because that's going to ruin it, right? Like I wouldn't want to show everybody every mechanic of the game, because that's not going to be any fun, right?
Exactly.
Just buy it, play it, and, figure it out, learn it on your own. In the case of like major updates like this, though, it needs to be way more transparent. And again, I'll use kind of like I mentioned this last podcast too, was like take Rust's PR team. They do a phenomenal job, right? I mean, they have like they set dates like every Thursday. It's an update, no matter what. Even if it's like even if there is no major update coming out, they still put like a little. They have like a blog thing, and they just post on there like,
right.
Well, this week we fiddle our diddles. Didn't actually do anything, but hey, here's a post. So it's like, cool, whatever. It's an update, right? It's something to give the people playing their game, right?
Yeah.
Not this whole, oh, well, we're gonna implement the change, make it go live, and then we're gonna not tell anybody until like the next day or like 2 days later. Like, no, that's,
or until
that's
everybody's pissed at this point.
Or yeah, which the number one thing, exactly. Like something goes live and immediately same day, like there's massive uproar. Your fans hate the fucking game automatically, and they blow up your forum page on your website because you made your game dog shit. So
yeah, no, and you bring up a good point with the PR thing. Not to say DICE has a terrible PR group. I'm pretty sure they have a damn good one.
Oh no, of course. I mean, I just kind of said that like in general, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like a lot.
But a train wreck that came to mind for me was Hello Games and No Man's Sky. Sean Murray.
Oh yeah, Jesus Christ. Yeah,
that guy didn't know PR from his asshole. I'm sure he's a nice guy. He realized his mistake much later. He was like, yeah, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but it was a bad idea that I went out and talked about this game. And we're all sitting here, no shit, Sean, all right? You're not supposed to, talk the way you talked about the game.
You're going to do all these cool things. Psych. Actually, you could just get a fucking
2 years later
sandwich. Yeah.
And so, I think before they go through and make changes like this, they really need to run it by some sort of PR department and be like, what do you think would be the reaction to this? Because the PR department, I don't know how a PR department runs. I don't know if they're people who are, well within contact with the community, like a community manager. I don't know if the community manager is, a part of the PR department. I think he should be, he or she, whatever. But, there really needs to be some line of, some buffer, really. And that's what the PR department is. They're a buffer between the developer and the community. There's a reason they exist. And so for DICE to just completely leapfrog over the PR department and just put this in the game, that was a bad move. It was a really bad move. And they found out real fast to not bring on the wrath of their community, of their gamers. And 4 days later, they change it back. And their excuse was, oh, we were just testing things. No, you weren't. You thought that was a proper way to go about it. You thought it was a good idea. But what's a good idea on paper doesn't necessarily mean it's the right idea. And if you just looked at your forums, looked at your community members, and see what they were actually saying, which is what a PR department is for, you would have known that the time to kill was fine. It's the netcode. It's the time to death. It's everything else but the time to kill. The guns work fine. Everybody likes them. Check everything else. Look at what other people are saying. The netcode. It's a problem. Fix what's broken first. And I just, it's another thing that I don't get. Every release, the netcode is shit. Every release. How is it different? You take a look at this game, it's Battlefield 1 with a World War II skin. That's literally what it is. How is the netcode worse?
Yeah, that always blew me away from not only them. I mean, I've seen it in other game companies as well, but like that's like the number. Like how many games actually? I can name off. Actually, I can't name off any because I'm not that good. But I just know of a few off the top of my head in the past, like even like this year, right? Any major release where servers on release date just shit the bed and just stopped working, so no one could play. Like actually, Fallout 76, right? Even on release day, right? I heard like there was server issues, like no one could get on.
Diablo 3, another
Diablo 3. Actually, that was the Diablo 3. I mean Battlefield. There you go.
Battlefield 3 and 4. They both had launch issues. Battlefield 1 was actually the only Battlefield in years that actually had a decent launch day, and with minimal bugs and problems.
There's just this like repetition that we see, right? Like on launch day. I know it's kind of off topic. You're talking about netcode, but I mean it kind of ties in, right?
It ties
like,
into it.
Because eventually that's like just the repercussions of that kind of, right? Like, like it's your big day, you know, like you're releasing your fucking game that you guys worked on for years, right? And then all of a sudden release day comes in, it's just like, whoops.
That's what beta testing's for.
Exactly, right?
You know, and, if you want to have an alpha test, that's fine. But, beta test is where it's at.
Yeah, just leave it at a beta test. It doesn't even have to get crazy. Just release it for a few people for whatever, couple months. They're going to find a fuck ton of bugs for you. They always do.
Yep.
Because they're just itching to play the game in general, right? And then when you give them a task too, it's kind of like a little Easter egg hunt, right? For like, ooh, I'm going to break the game. Like, yay.
Yeah, but so overall, as we trail so far off the topic, companies in general should be more transparent when it comes to hot fixes, if you want to call them anything. Hot fixes to their game, changes, even the most minor of changes. I mean, this wasn't really a minor change. This was a complete overhaul to the gameplay mechanics, and that's just bad. But even about the smallest things, be transparent. Tell us what you're doing, so that way we can give you the feedback that you supposedly desire. It's so supposedly something that you guys want, and you're not asking properly for it. All you're asking is for us to be angry about it, and it's the wrong way to go about it. But obviously, it should be common sense that when you're developing something big like a DLC or something, and you don't want people to know about it or what you're doing, then don't tell us. Maybe give us a little, hint here and there, but you don't have to tell us everything. I personally like to be surprised. I saw a article, another quick trail off here. I saw an article where Games Radar has some details on Elder Scrolls 6. Really? You have some details on Elder Scrolls 6. Are you sure? Are you sure that's real? Because, Bethesda could be playing you. But I'm sick of this culture of like, we need to know early, we need to know ahead of time because it's imperative to our way of existing. And it's just, no. I like surprises. I was thoroughly surprised by my swanky ass robe I got on Christmas. And so it's fun to be surprised every once in a while. So
was it pink?
No, it's maroon. But
Did it have fluffy ears on it?
No, it doesn't have fluffy ears on it. This is actually a really, I don't know what I'm trying to say. A really awesome robe. Like this is like legit, high, rich person robe. Like it's got a man on a horse on it or something. Or is that
you better be wearing it right now.
Oh, I'm wearing it right now. All right, good. But that is actually going to bring this episode of the Hotbar Podcast to a close. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for episode number 2 of the Hotbar Podcast. We hope that you guys enjoyed the topics of this week's podcast. And if you agree or disagree with us, definitely leave comments down below. We we actually want to hear your feedback. And that's a lot of the reason why so many things have changed in one episode, because we have actually gotten some feedback about it, and we've adjusted. So, if you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment down below. Let us know what you thought about the topics. Do you agree or disagree with what we have said? And do keep in mind that, again, I still need to work on the building the website, but we are on Spotify, we are on SoundCloud, though particularly we'd prefer you to go to Spotify because it's cooler, the fact that we can say that we're on Spotify. And so just to keep you guys in the loop, unlike DICE, we will be releasing the audio podcast audio version of it first, because it's easier to get up and running, while I edit the video version. And hopefully some people will still want to, watch it on YouTube when I'm done with the video. So the audio version's coming out first, and then the video will soon follow afterwards. But
like, share, subscribe, people.
Yeah, if you want to,
in the long run,
if you want to do all that stuff, thanks for doing that. I never remember to say that to people. Because I just assume people know. If you like it, you thumbs up. If you don't like it, you thumbs down. If you care enough, you subscribe. Help us out. But definitely check us out on Spotify. We'll leave the links down in the video description below, especially for all of, on YouTube, that is, especially for all of the source material that we used for this podcast, the letters from DICE on Reddit, and where I got my information on the classic systems. That'll all be in the channel description or video description, depending on where you see this or hear this. But that's going to do it for us today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and join us again next time, where we pick more topics to talk about, to rant about, to complain about, and of course, different drinks as always. And check us out in the next one. But for now, he's Dimitri. I'm Adam Wolf, and we will see you guys later.
Right,